in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio, the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. We have a very interesting guest today. We talk about building a business so that you can live a life. I don't think business is an end to itself, but it should be about building a business so that you can do the things that you want to do that you're not able to do if you're tied down to something other than a business. So being able to scale your business and to do something that you really enjoy and then serving people with that, that's got to be the greatest outcome I can think of. Today's guest has really done this in a huge way, and I'm really delighted to have Steve Sims on the show with us. He is the founder of Bluefish, one of the top personal concierge services, and he is an expert marketer within the luxury industry. Steve has been quoted in various publications and on TV, as well as the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, London's Sunday Times, South China Morning Post, and many more. He is the best-selling author of Bluefishing, the Art of Making Things Happen, and he is a sought-after consultant, a speaker at a variety of networks, groups, and associations, as well as the Pentagon and Harvard, which he has been at twice. So we are really privileged to have you. Steve Sims, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Hey, thanks for the intro. I'll try and live up to that.
Well, your reputation precedes you, and you've got such an awesome website with lots of great content I can't wait to get into. One of the things that really got my attention is an interview with my mentor, Mr. Jay Abraham.
Yeah, Jay. Yeah, he's been a friend for many years. Funny story, and I won't digress too much, but I met Jay with no introduction. We were literally at the back of a room. It was actually a roof deck in Hollywood, and there was a party going on. I'm not really much of a party person, so I'm just in the background with a glass of whiskey, and so was he. And we bumped into each other, just started talking, never even introduced ourselves to each other. We just started chatting. It was one of those beautiful organic moments. And then I'm in New York waiting to see this guy go up on stage to speak. He walks past me, grabs me by the shoulder, says hello, and then gets on stage. And so I'm glad to say that I met Jay before I realized he was Jay.
That sounds just like a typical Jay Abraham story. You know, he meets this guy in the back of a taxi or whatever in a hotel room and strikes up a conversation. And so what a great moment to spend some time with Jay. And that's the first thing that jumped out at me because I've been following Jay Abraham for over 25 years. And that's where I learned most of what I know about marketing. So we're all in good company, and I want to really jump in here and bring our listeners up to speed. First of all, you're connecting to us from South London. Is that correct?
No, I'm in Los Angeles at the moment.
Okay, but you're originally from the UK.
Yeah, I am. I'm an East London boy. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I love that. I can't wait to get over to the UK and check out my friends over there in person. You are the founder of Bluefish, and so tell our listeners what you do, because you provide a very high-end service to a very select clientele. You are very unique in what you do. Give us a little bit of a background on what you do and who you do it for.
Well, I often say that I spend billionaires' money giving them more interesting cocktail stories. I'm the guy that is a big deal to maybe about 1% of the planet. They just happen to own most of the planet. They contact me when they want to do, they want to learn drums. So I arrange it with Guns N' Roses. They want an exclusive restaurant in Florence. So I take over the academia, set up a table of 6 at the feet of Michelangelo's David, and then get Andrea Bocelli to come in and serenade them while they're eating their pasta. People have asked me to get them married in the Vatican. They've gone backstage with pretty much any celebrity you can think of. I'm the guy you contact when you have a dream or a wish or a bucket list item and a checkbook that can match. And that's when I do what I need to do.
So you make your tagline is that you make the impossible possible. And actually that's you've been referred to as the real life Wizard of Oz by Forbes and by Entrepreneur Magazine. Give us some more examples. What is it that you do, and how did you learn to do this, and how did you turn it into a business?
Wow. Okay. Lots of deep questions. I'll try and keep them quick. I was a no-neck from London, a whiskey drinking biker, naturally built to work on the door of nightclubs, and I didn't want to do it forever. Because every night you stood out on the door, you're getting cold, you're getting wet, and people are threatening you after a couple of beers. So I noticed rich people coming in, affluent people having the lifestyle I wanted. They would turn up in cars. They would order whatever they wanted to drink. And we've all been in that situation where we've gone through a supermarket and we've been calculating in our head what's going into the cart. And I remember seeing these people ordering drinks and not checking the bill. And that was the first thing I noticed at that age. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to buy something without checking the price tag. So I started communicating with these people because I thought to myself, you are the combination of the people you hang out with. So all my guys were no-neck bouncers. If I knew 4 rich guys, then the combination of us 5 was that I would naturally become rich because you become who you're with. So I started being of value, and the only way I could be of value was to tell them about new clubs that were opening, new parties, special access, backstage doors, private locations. So I became this party promoter by default just to get affluent people to talk to me. And of course, then it'd be a case of, well, I want to go to Monaco. Do you know anyone in Monaco? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. And I would try and work it out. So I became the guy that could get you into pretty much anything you wanted to get into. And of course, along the way, you're traveling across countries. So I'd set you up with a flight, and I'd set you up with a chef and a hotel or a mansion or a penthouse or a yacht. And before you knew it, we were becoming this travel concierge. Now, here's the dumb thing. I never wanted to be a concierge. If anyone met me, I'm the guy you avoid. I'm 245 pounds of ugly with piercings, no hair, goatee, and rolling around on a bike every day. I'm not what you envisage a high-end concierge to look like. But without realizing it, that became my secret sauce because I was who I was. I was very transparent. I was very obvious. And I was the guy that got it done. You didn't retain me because I looked pretty or I sounded like Hugh Grant. You retained me because you knew I was credible in getting it done. And before I realized it, I had an industry. I had a business. In fact, I openly say that Bluefish was one of the creators of the modern day concierge industry. After 20 plus years, we were one of the first. We were one of the OGs. We understood what it was to actually take people's requests and not fulfill them, but give them more what they wanted, dreamed, and desired, but maybe were a little bit too shy to ask. And I think that's how we became where we were now.
I really like that. And wow, what lessons and implications for every kind of business out there, no matter what kind of business you're running or what kind of business you want to run, it's not enough just to satisfy the customer. If all you do is satisfy the customer, then you're not going to have that customer for very long. You've got to go beyond satisfaction, and you've got to blow their mind. And you do that in a pretty big way. You are known for your honesty, integrity, and for doing things your way. What is your way? What is the Steve Sims way?
Well, you've just repeated it and very articulately, very smartly. You've made me sound intelligent by rephrasing it. I've never given a client what they asked for, because if I do, then I can be replicated and I can lose that client. You said it accurately a few seconds ago. So whenever someone comes to me, I will listen to them, but I will use my inner Sherlock Holmes and I will ask why. Why do you want to do that? Why is that important to you? Why is this a dream? Why is this an ambition? Why does this need to be struck off the bucket list? And let me ask you quite openly, what needs to happen for you to go home and be in joy for the rest of your life that this happened? And you usually find that what people ask for isn't what they really want. It's the start of the communication to what they want. So if you lose out, if you miss out on that and give them what they want, if you satisfy that request, then you can be Amazoned within seconds. So you've got to listen to what someone wants and then give them what they need. And one of the age-old questions I get is, you must have failed at giving a client what they wanted. You must have, come out lost out many, many times because you always try to do these outrageous things. Yes, I try to do the outrageous things, but I've never failed. I have never in 20 plus years failed giving a client what they wanted. Why? Because I never aimed at giving them what they asked for. I always went, well, okay, you want a nice dinner in Florence. I could book you a table. That's easy enough. But no, I took over a museum. Now, if that failed, I'd have gone for a mansion. If the mansion failed, I'd have gone for a penthouse. So I could fail 30,000 times and still be way above what the original request was. And you want to shock and awe your client. You want to give them this emotion, this reaction, this surprise that they go, well, I asked for X and I got A, B, C, D all along. So you want to do that. And that's what stops you being Amazoned. That's what stops you being replaceable. And that's what has people talking about you in cocktail parties. That also becomes your major marketing influence in order to get the other kind of clients you need.
Wow, very powerful lessons that we can all learn and apply to our business if we don't want to be commoditized, if we don't want to be classified, and most of all, if we don't want to be measured in terms of price. If you are a commodity, then your price, you can't command premium pricing. And there's nothing, if there's nothing premium in your pricing, there's nothing special in your offer, then you can pretty much compete with anyone. But you have mastered the art of being able to focus in on that 1%. Whereas everyone else is trying to be all things to all people, you are a very specific solution to a very specific person. For example, you had a client once that wanted to dive to the wreck of the Titanic. How were you able to pull that off?
There was actually quite a few that we sent down because in the late 90s, when James Cameron was doing all of his research, he was going via a submarine that actually came out of Russia, was hooked up to the Keldysh. It was called the Mir. And he was going down in that a lot of the times. Now, the funny thing that people don't realize is most of these submersibles that go down, they don't actually have anyone in there. They don't need to have anyone in there anymore. They've got all the cameras outside, the sensors, the arms. It's all remotely controlled from up top. So there was pretty much this empty space that was set up to have passengers on board. So we started getting involved in actually being able to supplement some of the dive costs by putting in paid passengers into the submersible. So we actually ended up, it became and they don't like it becoming being called tourism, but we ended up building a small tourist industry around Titanics, deep sea dives, Antarctic visits, archaeological digs in Egypt, anywhere that there was a price for someone to actually excavate, we could find someone that excited to get involved. It would supplement some of the price. So we used that for the Titanic, and the Titanic liked us, and we carried on running missions up until the big mid-decade recession of about 2005. And they're actually getting ready to go down there again soon. So we've actually got clients already lined up to go back down to the Titanic.
Wow, what a great strategy to say, hey, I've got a client that wants to do this, and they'll pay for it, and they'll pay for you to do your research or whatever it is you need to do. Yep. That's creating a very strategic win-win for everybody, isn't it?
And it doesn't matter the fact that I'm a concierge. It doesn't matter the fact whatever industry I'm in. As long as a win-win can be created, then you will amplify loyalty and you will hold that client. As you were saying quite accurately, the second that you become price sensitive, you could be listed on Amazon and replicated. You've got to prove that you've got something, a value way beyond a price tag, and then you can't be replaced. And again, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. these lessons that we're talking about now can be replicated in your plumbing industry, in your florist, in your school, whatever industry you're in. If you provide clients what they want and not what they asked for, you'll keep that client.
Excellent. And circling back to Jay Abraham, which you have talked to and learned from, as I have, he describes it as the unique selling proposition. It's what makes us different, not just in our own mind, but different in the way people perceive us to be. And when we are successful at doing that, we basically have no competition at that point.
Absolutely. There is no competition. There is no competition. You don't need to get someone on board to build up a loyalty program. You don't need to get someone to build up a perks program, because loyalty is just a very fancy way of saying bribery. Let's be blunt. If you're shopping at Bloomingdale's and you've got a loyalty program, and just over the road in Neiman Marcus, they've got a better loyalty program for the same product, what are you doing? You're crossing the street and you're now in there. So loyalty programs, perks programs, reward miles, air miles, all of these are very attractive bribery in order for you to be retained. If you give clients above and beyond what they wanted, you ain't got to worry about any of that. You create a community, you provide, you build a fan base, and in some aspects, a fanatic base. Take a fan from a fan to a fanatic where they become your marketing, and you actually build up true valued loyalty and commitment.
So you've probably, you've been doing this for a number of years now. And I would imagine, I would imagine that you really don't have to do any marketing whatsoever in the conventional sense, because you've got such great references and word of mouth. You have achieved a status that a lot of business owners are still struggling to get to.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. And most successes come out of great downfalls. In the early 90s, we actually launched one of these newfangled things called a website. And it was the days where it cost a fortune to get like 4 shoddy pages. We all remember those days. I was on a TV interview in England, and the interviewer turned around, and we had rushed to get this website up because I was being interviewed, because they had seen and taken pictures of me doing these events, and people were starting to buzz about, Steve Sims and Bluefish. And I'm on the couch, and this girl turns around and she said, "You're so exclusive. You don't even have a way of people contacting you on your website." And I sat there and I was like, that's correct. And I left that program going, who forgot to put a number on? Now, the daft thing is, we've since got rid of that horrible website like you do. But we've never, ever had on our website a way of emailing or phoning us, because you've got to be referred to us or you've got to apply. And we charge $5,000 on our concierge side. We charge $5,000 just for our phone number. So there's a lot of people that go, "Oh, I'm a referral business." And I say to them, "Do you have a way of people contacting you on your website?" And they go, "Yes, I do." And I said, "Well, you're not a referral business. You just get a lot of referrals." A pure referral business is a business that survives solely on its ability to get referrals. And that's the trick that I told you earlier, or I mentioned earlier. Take a client from a client to a supporter, to a fan, to a fanatic, to your marketing strategy. So whenever I'm at an event, or not even at the events, I had a client a couple of days ago, was the other side of the planet, was at a party in Kuala Lumpur, was talking about a couple of things he got up to. He introduced me to 2 people that night. So he's my marketing arm, and my marketing cost will be to send him one of his favorite scotches.
Yeah, not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all.
Not a bad one at all.
Now, do you actually ask for referrals, or is it to the point now that people just naturally refer people to you and you have to turn down work?
I do ask when the situation's right, and I'm not frightened of asking. And the way that I ask is like this. I will contact a client after they've done something, usually a newish client, and I'll say to them, "Hey, it's really good that you did this and you did this and you went there and you experienced this and you were engaged in this. But what did I do wrong?" And you actually ask people that. Now, if you say to people, "Hey, what did I do right?" or "What was your best moment about this?" they'll go, "Oh, it was this. Oh, it was great. It was brilliant." You say to someone, "What did I do wrong?" it changes their mindset. And they sit there and they go, now, if they give you stuff that you did wrong, thank them and say, hey, I want to be known as the absolute best. You've just enabled me to be that. So thank you very, very much. And you now know how to step up your game. But if they come back to you and they go, nothing, it was beyond what we thought, that's phenomenal. Can you imagine if your friends knew about a service like this? How would you feel about telling them? You know, so you've then taken them to that point, and you can say, look, I've got an event coming up. I would like to invite you, and I'd like you to invite 3 of your friends, because quite simply, I want them to experience what you have, because that's how I get my clients. I get my clients by getting the right kind of people. You're the right kind of person. So I'm assuming you have a damn good judge of who your friends are. Therefore, your friends are like yours, therefore could be good friends of mine. So how would that? And so you work through them. So I ask people all the time, if you know someone like you that would appreciate what I've done for you, please make the introduction.
I love that. And it's so natural. It's not forced. And it is possible for you to ask that question and to make that request because you have over-delivered on what the client was expecting, surpassing expectations and going beyond, turning them from a client all the way up to a fanatic that is willing and eager to refer other people to you. Tell us about your book, Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. What does the Bluefish represent?
So when we started getting clubs and started doing our own parties, we used to throw passwords out there. And I thought, if I've got a billionaire coming up to the door of a club and giving a secret little password, it showed he was up for a laugh. He was humble. He was comfortable in himself. He wasn't arrogant. So we used to throw out these simple little passwords. We'd tell them where the party was. We'd charge them $1,000. They would pay in advance. They would turn up, lean into the doorman, and give out one of these passwords. And they were always stupid. We had things like, name the lion out of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That got a lot of people because it was Aslan. Name 2 of the Teletubbies. And another one was, finish this sentence, 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish. And people used to walk up and they'd lean in and they'd go, Bluefish. And would say, oh, in you go, have a good night. But you'd get people turn up and they'd be like, oh, I'm here for the party. And they would be all, chest puffing and arrogant. And we'd be like, sorry, mate, there's no party. And we would get rid of them. And anyone behind them would find it funny. Now, the other thing is, you'd have people coming up going, oh, the lion, I don't know, is it called Richard? And we'd be like, no, it's not called Richard. Go on in. But it got the right kind of people. So it became a really easy filter. And everyone got to know about the Bluefish one. And we ended up being called Bluefish. Our clients literally called us that Bluefish company. So we went with it. And then it's about 5 years ago, Simon Schuster contacted me. And again, Jay Abraham was involved in that, funny enough. And they contacted me and they said, we want you to write a book on all of the amazing things you do and who you do them for. Now, if I did that, I'd be dead by cocktail hour. And so I couldn't do it. We had to decline. Then I was doing speeches and I was doing consulting and branding. I was getting very well known around the entrepreneurial circuit for doing my courses and my consulting and stuff. And they contacted me back and they said, we got an idea. Instead of you talking about what you do and who you do it for, how about how you do it? How do you get a museum to shut down? How do you get to work with some of the most influential people in the world? How do you get backstage? How do you communicate? How do you build confidence? How do you build up an ROI on relationships? And so the book Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen, to be completely blunt, came out about 1.5 years ago. And I thought to myself, I'm going to pour everything into it and that'll be it. I wouldn't even say it'd be a one-hit wonder. I just wanted to get something on the shelf that gave my voice, my opinion, and said what I thought. So that if someone picked it up and they went, well, hang on a minute, if this bricklayer from London can be, dealing with Elton John, I'm already out of excuses. So that's why I did the book. And I think the first month it sold like 400 copies. The second month was like 500 copies or something like that. And I remember phoning up my agent and going, hey, 900 copies, is that good? And he went, no, don't call us, we'll call you. And I was like, oh, well, there you go. My years of being an author is dead within 2 days. And I think the third month we sold 14,000 copies. And then it went bestseller. It's done really well on audio. Audio is just ridiculous. It just hit bestseller in, I think, Taiwan. It's just got translated and released in Mandarin, Chinese, Korean, and Thai. So it's all over the place now. In fact, I was speaking in Phuket a couple of weeks ago. So it's been quite a whirlwind to see how people have actually grasped it and then suddenly realized that they were overcomplicating what they were trying to do.
Well, that's that's what most people do. They make things too complicated. But you've got a very simple strategy, and it is to over deliver and just make things happen. So that's what I love about the subtitle. The title is Bluefishing. The subtitle is The Art of Making Things Happen, and it's by our guest Steve Sims. You've also got a course on your website that is very interesting. Tell our listeners a little bit about that course.
Sure. So we took elements of the book, broke them down into videos, and went into further detail on it. And it's on Bluefish Steve, and it's also on stevedsims.com that you can find out about it. But it really is the core course is 16 chapters of how to build up confidence, how to learn the art of communication. Because quite simply, we had it and we've dumped it. We've lost it. And we're relying on AI now. In fact, I heard a statistic that really scared and upset me the other day, that the average youth, and they're now classing that under the age of 28, spends more in combination hours per month speaking to AI than they do their best mate. Now, you'll speak to Siri. You'll go, Siri, do this. Alexa, do this. Siri, do that. You'll do those, and it'll only be a couple of seconds. But combined, you may go out with your mate once a month, once every couple of months, once every 3 months for maybe a lunch. So you've spent an hour with your friend, yet you're spending about 2 hours combined a month talking to AI. And it's only going to get more. I went out shopping the other day for a fridge, and there's these AI things on the front of these Samsung fridges now. And you can talk to it to ask, what am I running low on? And the fridge is going to tell me you're running low on milk, Steve. And it's just ridiculous. So it just got daft. So we're trying to get people to understand that as human beings, we're the slowest evolving technology. While everything else is running away from us, we're not changing. We've only just got over standing upright and webbed feet. So we still yearn to connect. We still yearn to be desired. We still yearn to communicate. And my, I suppose, obligation here is to get people back to learning how to communicate, how to bring value into a conversation. With the social platforms, you can reach out to absolutely anybody. You can get your foot in the door with absolutely anyone you want to in the planet today because of that. The trick is no longer to get your foot in the door. The trick is to be so irresistible and to bring so much value and ability that they never want you to leave that room. And
wow,
that's what my
powerful.
course is about. And
that is powerful.
We do a lot of, we got a Facebook page that when you become part of the course, you're included in that. But I throw little ranty videos up there. So you've got a 16-step course, but then I'm also constantly uploading it. When I'm meeting people, I'll do a video, I'll put it up on the distillery. People will ask me a question, and they can also ask me questions. How do you do this with raising investment dollars? How do you do this with chatting with your kids? How do you get ready for a board meeting? How do you get over being frightened to speak on stage? And I'll do a video on that, and I'll post it up there. But more importantly, I'll get one of my friends to actually come on that video with me to actually help. So I will bring my expert friends in to actually do it. And I had Jay Abraham on the other day. I had Ken Cragen, Jim Quick, Harvey Meisel, Jeff Mallow, a whole host of people that will come on and help answer the questions of my course crowd and family.
Wow. You are doing such great work. And I do want to mention this course. If our listeners are interested in this, they can go to bluefishsteve.com and take a look at the content there. The distillery Discover the 16 steps to networking with influencers and attracting high net worth clients, and so much more. So, Steve Sims, you are the real deal. It has been a real pleasure to connect with you. Any final thoughts or parting words of wisdom you'd like to share with our listeners?
My dad died 2 years ago, and he was a big, thick Irish bricklayer. And one day, out of the blue, and I was only about 13 years old, and he was smoking, I think, his 200 cigarette in the morning. He put his hands on my shoulder and he said, "Son, no one ever drowned by falling in the water. They drowned by staying there." And then he took his hands off my shoulder and walked off. Now, I remember as a young kid going, "What the hell was that about?" And every day when I tend to fall in the water by making a mistake, getting involved in something, or trying to look at something that maybe can make me feel a bit nervous, I realized that it's your choice to stay in that water or not. So anyone out there that feels as though it ain't going that way, stop going that way. Literally stop it and go the other way. And remember, you only drown by staying in the water.
Powerful words of wisdom from Mr. Steve Sims. He is the founder of Bluefish, one of the top personal concierge services in the world, and an expert marketer within the luxury industry. He's the best-selling author of Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. You can connect with Steve at stevedsims.com, and we'll have that link posted on the website as well. Steve, it's been a real pleasure to get to know you. Thank you so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, buddy. It was an honor. Thank you.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.